Guys, I feel like I blacked out every single time I saw an animal on this cruise or when we were at the glaciers, so come with me to Kenai Fjords National Park. Welcome back to another day of my quarter life gap year, and if you're new here, I quit my corporate job to travel the world. Today we're in Seward, Alaska, and we're going on a boat cruise to Kenai Fjords National Park. It's about a 2.5-hour drive from Anchorage, which we drove yesterday, and today it's 10 a.m. and we're on our way to our boat. We're going on a 6-hour full-day cruise to look for any wildlife and also to see a glacier. I thought this was our boat, which it's not. It's actually this boat, which is with Major Marine Tours. They had a little sign of all the animals they saw the day before, so I have my fingers crossed. And they're not crossed for long because literally we saw a sea otter right away. It's so precious, I wish I could take it home. And then we continued on with everyone's eyes peeled. We got a sandwich and chips as our lunch as we cruised on, and it was very unstable because of how big the waves were. I feel like you can't even capture it with a video, but here's Matt almost falling over. Okay, and our first official wildlife spotting is some harbor seals. I don't know why this one's all by itself on this rock over here. And then here's a video I took with my zoom lens, and it's kind of shaky because of my hands, but I think it's a lot closer. Oh, and then we saw a bald eagle right next to them. Then when we left, it was even more rainy, but the captain said that he saw some porpoises. But a core memory I literally have is the employee yelling at me to come outside because it's worth it, and then we saw this. And now we're at our next animal sighting, which is stellar sea lions. It's been raining this whole cruise, and it's gonna keep raining, so I go back inside to warm up and then come back out when there's something to see. And then finally, after 3 hours of cruising, we have finally reached our turnaround point. We only go to one active tidewater glacier. Anyways, this glacier is called Holgate Glacier, and I feel like you just can't really absorb how big it is until you're there in person. So you can see those little birds flying to the glacier. I feel like that kind of helps. We stopped at this glacier for about an hour and a half, and unsurprisingly, we were the only ones left outside just staring at it. And it's still raining this whole time, but it was completely worth it because then we saw the glacier cow, which if you don't know what calving is, it basically means a giant chunk of the glacier falls into the water and makes a huge noise. And now we're starting to move away from the glacier, but then we saw puffins. That's goodbye to the glacier. They pulled in a chunk of ice from the glacier that had fallen in the water, and I touched it and got a cocktail made out of it. I'm not trying to be canceled like Martha Stewart. Anyways, this is probably the bumpiest part of the whole cruise, but if you're prone to motion or seasickness, I would definitely bring something to help you with that. At this point, the captain got a call that there is some orca whales, and then I'm gonna save you the trouble of just staring at some blank water for like 10 minutes. So here are the orca whales. I've never seen orca whales in my life, so I was so excited to see them, and I feel like I blacked out during this. Here's the money shot though. It's a mother and her 2 calves. Unfortunately, we had to say bye to the orcas and leave because people were getting too seasick. The crew marked down our path and all the animals we saw along the way. And unfortunately, our next wildlife setting was a dead humpback, but it seemed to be natural causes. And unfortunately, now we're almost back to Seward, so we spent the remainder of our time outside and taking in the view. And then obviously we have to have one last wildlife sighting, so we saw 2 bald eagles on the sign. Now we're already back after a great day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.